You're now listening to the Contemporary Equity Podcast with your host, Garen. On this episode, we're going through the Dean collection, that is Kaseem Dean, aka Swizz Beatz, and Alicia Keys' art collection. They are avid art collectors of living contemporary artists. So we're going to go through a list of some of the artists that they collect, as well as the initiatives that they have put in place to support living artists, such as Dreamweavers, No Commission, the Dean's Choice, and the Dean Collection Music and Art Campus. Now, you may know Swizz Beatz as a music producer and as a hit maker, but he started collecting fine art at a very early stage in his life. His first piece was fine art photography from Ansel Adams, which was known for his black and white photographs of Yosemite National Park. He even has a record of selling a photograph for $722,500. Very well-known photographer in his time. And Swizz Beatz had the foresight and had the taste to pick up a fine art piece from Ansel Adams. But we're going to go through the list of the artists that he collects. Okay. Jordan Castile, Nina Chanel Abney, Cy Gavin, Kehinde Wiley, Cause, Arthur Jaffa, and Lynette Yadom Bioke. All right, we've talked about the artists, but now let's get into the 4 initiatives that the Dean Collection has put in place to support living artists. Dreamweavers, No Commission, the Dean's Choice, and the Dean Collection Music and Art Campus. Dreamweavers is a show curated by Swizz Beatz art advisor Nicola Vicil. The last show was February 19th, 2019 in LA at the UTA Artist Space. And the UTA stands for United Talent Agency. And some of the artists featured in that show were Kerry James Marshall, and we'll talk a lot more about him later. David Hammonds, Kehinde Wiley, Nick Cave, Arthur Jaffa, which I mentioned before, Dina Lawson mentioned before, and Carrie Mae Weems. This is another platform for living artists to showcase their work and really thrive as artists, and for people to experience them along with their work. No Commission is an art fair, which the name implies all proceeds from the sales go to the artist. That is a departure from the traditional gallery auction house relationship with the artist. Okay, it's a massive departure. And this is a fair where not only is it a platform for artists to receive 100% of the proceeds from the sale of their work, the Dean Collection also funds the artists by giving 20 artists $5,000 in order to exhibit their work. Okay, so this is a major initiative. Again, it's giving artists a chance to exhibit their work and receive 100% of the sales from their work. And we talked about before in the previous episode, typically in a gallery, when an artist sells their work through a gallery, they're receiving up to 50% of the sale of their work. 50% is going to the gallery, 50% is going to the artists themselves. This is a major move and a step forward to bring the power back to the artist, so the artist can continue to create and really support themselves with the work that they are producing. The next thing is the Dean's Choice. Now, No Commission was a departure from the gallery sales. The Dean's Choice is, which is the primary market, the Dean's Choice is tapping into the secondary market. Okay, so the Dean's Choice proposes that the artist receives royalties off the resale of their work at the auction. Okay, so to put you in the mind of an artist, let me give you an example. Let's say you produce a work that's oil on canvas that you're selling through a gallery for $20,000 and it sells. and that gallery is receiving a 50% commission on the sale of that art. So you as the artist are only getting $10,000. Okay. So let's say a few years later, the person that purchased your work is selling it at auction, and it sells for $50,000 at auction, right? The artist that originally sold that work gets nothing from that, right? So that artwork appreciated in value. It's an endorsement for the artist, but the artist is not receiving any of the action on that sale. So what the Dean's Choice has proposed is to give the buyer at the auction the option to give 3 to 5% of the sale back to the artist. Now that is something coming from the music industry, because he understands and knows that in order for you to use music in any shape, form, or fashion, you have to ask permission and you have to pay for it. Okay. So that is something that's taking his business prowess from the music industry and applying it to contemporary art, so that artists can receive royalties on the resale of their work. I mean, these auction sales, prices of work can skyrocket in a matter of minutes on the auction floor. The artist can receive some compensation, a small fraction of the sale of their work. A very interesting concept and a bold move, to say the least. That leads us into the most recent initiative, which is the Dean Collection Music and Art Campus. Now, this has just come up in the past 30 days that Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys have spotted property in New York that they want to use to house and showcase the Dean Collection, as well as teach emerging artists about the business side of their respective industries. It's a 110-acre property with a few buildings on it. Collectively, it's 200,000 square feet, which again will be used for the Dean Collection and classrooms to teach the business side for these artists, because a lot of times the creative may not have the access or the know-how to actually be successful as an artist. So there are a lot of things that Swizz Beatz is going to take from his experience, along with collaborating with other educators and other people in the industry, to really bring this program to the forefront so artists can really make money off of their craft, right? So this is another major initiative that is showing support for living artists. So we just wanted to shed light on the Dean Collection for supporting living artists and using their influence to impact change in the art market. But before we go, I want to mention Kerry James Marshall and the impact that Swizz Beatz had on the purchase of his painting Pastimes at auction. So the painting ended up selling for $21.1 million, and it was acquired by none other than Sean Combs. This was a record set for a living contemporary African-American artist, and another example of how Swizz Beatz is ensuring that artists and art collectors can profit from participating in the art market. The information in this podcast was compiled from online databases such as Artsy, ArtPrice, and ArtNet. The databases were verified against auction catalogs to ensure accurate reporting, detailed analysis, and clear interpretation.